We know these foods are protective, but at the same time, we're also eating foods that are carcinogenic, that increases risk of cancer, like meats, because when you cook meats and you roast them, or you bake them, or you fry them, or you grill them, or you barbecue them, or you brown them, they form nitrosamino compounds and polyaromatic hydrocarbons and heterocyclic amines. In other words, you're forming, well, the nitrosamino compounds are put into processed meats, but the polyaromatic hydrocarbons and heterocyclic amines are formed when meat is cooked. And then you have the arsenic in brown rice. That's what we've poisoned our brown rice across America, and the outer hull of rice sucks up the arsenic more magnetically than other foods do. So now we have to pretty much avoid brown rice as well. So rice may increase risk of cancer because white rice is highly glycemic, linked to higher rates of cancer over time because of high glycemic exposure, more sugar, more insulin rising in the bloodstream from the more white rice in the diet. And also brown rice, because of the contamination with arsenic, also may increase the risk of cancer too. So it's no longer acceptable to be on a macrobiotic diet or a high-carb diet, eating like a lot of rice and foods like that. So the strongest links to cancer are processed foods, luncheon meats, barbecued meats, of course the red meats. Dairy products are linked with ovarian and prostate cancer. And fried foods are linked to autoimmune conditions and cancer as well. Even one serving of commercial or one serving of fast food French fries a week as a child, one serving a week, increases your later life risk of breast cancer by 26%, just one serving a week. And white foods, white rice, white bread, white rice, these white foods, I always say, the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead, right? Don't trust things that are too white. It's going to kill you. Cocaine, cigarettes, right? White flour. White flour means death. Okay. Moving on to this concept that I'm reinforcing about your diet has to be hormonally favorable. And the hormones we're talking about here today are estrogen, insulin, and IGF-1, or insulin-like growth factor 1. These three hormones must be favorable. And how do you keep those hormones favorable? How? Well, you have to keep slim. You have to, because the foundational principle of the nutritarian diet, right, is eating a diet rich in phytochemicals and antioxidants and not over-consuming calories, getting a high micronutrient bang per caloric buck. Because when you eat foods that are high in nutrients, like the G-bombs, like greens and beans and onions and mushrooms and berries and seeds, when you eat these colorful plants and you flood your body with nutrients, it lowers your appetite and your apostat. You don't become a calorie-consuming monster because you're not deficient in nutrients. Nutrient deficiencies and the buildup of toxins make you want to overeat, and you can't control your appetite. What we're saying here is that we want your diet to be nutritionally excellent at the same time without over-consuming calories. Because if you overconsume calories, you're going to gain weight, and gaining weight is going to increase your hormones that will increase risk of cancer, because gaining weight increases estrogen and insulin. But I'm also saying that having the right micronutrient exposure makes it so you're going to be in touch with your instinctual drive for hunger, and you're not going to want to overeat. You're not going to be biologically driven to overeat, and you have to eat right to desire the right amount of calories. Now, IGF-1 is driven mostly by animal products. Sure, sugar and white rice and white flour raises insulin and IGF-1 both. But animal protein raises IGF-1 more than sugar does, and sugar raises insulin more than animal protein does, even though they both raise it. But if you want to have the best effect to raise both insulin and IGF-1 to maximally cause cancer, then we want to raise the glycemic carbohydrates and the animal products and the animal protein simultaneously. Like mix them in a meal, like a hamburger, macaroni and cheese, a turkey sandwich, a pizza. So the American diet, I always say the American diet's been designed by Al-Qaeda. It's maximally perfected scientifically to kill people the fastest. I said that joke on PBS. I think in 2012, but they dubbed it out. They wouldn't let me say, I don't know why. Maybe they thought, I don't know. But so they have, just so you know, I didn't say that on PBS it came out like this, and it wasn't me. They dubbed in another person's voice. It says, that diet's been designed by Darth Vader. Darth Vader, as if that's funny. So don't blame me for that stupid joke. The real joke is Al-Qaeda. You understanding this thing about hormonally favorable? Because when you have excess hormones, the excess hormones promote angiogenesis. And the word angiogenesis, no, it's not the second book of the Bible. Angio means blood vessels, and genesis means to make new. It means to make new blood vessels. And cancer cells secrete angiogenic factors because they want to claim blood vessels, so the blood vessels grow into them so they can grow and spread and kill you. Fat cells also spew out angiogenesis promoters because they need blood vessels to grow. Insulin promotes angiogenesis so fat can grow. Insulin is a primary fat storage hormone. Insulin says, we want you to put fat on your body. Here's the extra insulin. Keep growing fat, and we'll help you grow that fat by stimulating blood vessels to grow so the blood vessels can bring sugar and glucose and oxygen so the fat cells can grow faster. That's exactly what the cancer cells want to happen. Cancer cells want circulating angiogenesis promoters and insulin circulating so they can utilize that so they can grow and get a blood supply as well. So when you're growing fat, you're growing cancer at the same time. When you're losing fat, you're losing angiogenesis promotion and you're reducing your risk of cancer at the same time. Angiogenesis promoters are cancer promoters. Angiogenesis inhibitors are cancer inhibitors. And soybeans and cinnamon and berries and greens and mushrooms and onions and garlic and all these things that we like people to eat and berries have anti-angiogenic effects, right? They say, no way, Jose, I'm not letting you put fat on your body. They say, no way, Jose, I'm not letting you get cancer. They're bilingual. They say, no way, Jose. Phone's going off. So the G-BOMBs, that G-BOMBs is my acronym. That stands for greens, of course, of the most powerful anti-cancer foods. Greens and beans and onions and mushrooms and berries and seeds are foods I want you to eat every day, right? I want you to eat these foods regularly. How many of you in this audience right now eats a salad every day? Wow, fantastic. How many of you eat some nuts and seeds? Wow. How many of you eat onions and mushrooms and a salad every day? You eat some cooked mushrooms with a day. Oh, not so many. Only about half of you. You're missing out. Don't forget, mushrooms and soybeans and tempeh and asparagus, for example, are examples of foods very high in ergothioneine. And ergothioneine is a powerful anti-cancer substance that reduces free radicals and removes carcinogens outside of the antioxidant response element, the NRF2 transcription proteins. It's a different mechanism. And the cells have an ergothioneine receptor. And there's very few foods that give ergothioneine besides mushrooms, asparagus, and soybeans, for example, that have much ergothioneine in them. It's a unique property that our body is designed to benefit from these foods. So let's go through them a little bit. Isothiocyanates, the ITCs, found in cruciferous green vegetables are one of the most powerful anti-cancer substances in our diet. And of course, it comes from those green cruciferous vegetables like kale and arugula, Brussels sprouts, collard greens, bok choy, watercress, cabbage, Savoy cabbage, all these incredibly important nutrients. And you want to eat some of these raw every day in your salad. So when you make that salad and you chew it really well, it's the most important meal of the day is your lunch salad, where you really chew those vegetables well. You add something cruciferous to the top of your salad to maximize the anti-cancer effects. You have to add some kale or some baby bok choy or some watercress or some arugula or some shredded cabbage onto that salad. If you go to the salad bar at Whole Foods Market, take some of the arugula and put it on top. Take some of the red cabbage and put it on top. Because you get a tremendous, powerful lifespan enhancing effect of that. Here's a study on cruciferous vegetables and breast cancer, shown with breast cancer patients, following them for 10 years. Those with the highest third of cruciferous vegetable intake reduced their death by 62%. Another study showed that women who had the GSTP1 gene, or the BRCA gene, for increasing their breast cancer risk, showed a tremendous reduction in expression of those genes when they consumed, and lower rates of breast cancer when they consumed green cruciferous vegetables. Let me say this clearly one more time. That when you eat enough green cruciferous vegetables, you suppress and deactivate the genetic alterations that could lead to cancer. Say that again. I'm saying this one more time again. We all have some defects on our cells that increase our risk or decrease the risk of certain genetic susceptibilities. But those defects in our genes are suppressed and don't have the ability to be expressed or cause damage when you have a high intake of green cruciferous vegetables. Is that clear? Yeah. So these ITCs have a lot of different benefits. They they lower estrogen levels. They detoxify carcinogens. They prevent carcinogens from binding to the DNA. They activate the ARE to repair the DNA. Right? They promote the apoptosis or death of cancer cells.